BETCEDIC is an LA-based community nonprofit that provides justice, stability, and hope to those experiencing economic and social disparities.
They provide free legal services, educate community members with the powerful knowledge of their legal rights, and use our collective voice to reform systems.
Their vision is to achieve equitable access to justice so that everyone can meet their essential needs and lead fulfilling lives.
Each year, BETCEDIC works with over 1,000 pro bono attorneys and volunteers like us to assist more than 65,000 individuals and families, regardless of their ethnic and racial backgrounds, ability to afford an attorney, religious beliefs, immigrant status, or gender identities.
Small businesses are a key part of local economies and infrastructure. BETCEDIC's Small Business Development Project supports small business owners through legal representation and educational resources.
BETCEDIC's Small Business Development Project partners with pro bono attorneys like us to provide free legal education, resources, and one-on-one legal assistance to low to moderate income small business owners and entrepreneurs.
BETCEDIC's Small Business Development Project can help small business owners and entrepreneurs with forming a business, leasing commercial space, understanding contracts, fair employee practices, protecting their intellectual property, and more.
Contact BETCEDIC's Small Business Development Project by visiting lalegalhelp.org or calling 866-375-9511. They offer services in different languages.
This video was brought to you in partnership with the City of Los Angeles Economic and Workforce Development Department and BETCEDIC Legal Services. BETCEDIC is an equal opportunity affirmative action employer.
The Economic and Workforce Development Department's goal is to steer economic development in a manner that yields thriving businesses and creates job training and career opportunities for the City of Los Angeles. EWDD works every day to deliver a strong and committed workforce, maintain sustainable neighborhoods, and profitable communities throughout Los Angeles. Get more information at ewdd.lacity.gov. The City of Los Angeles Economic and Workforce Development Department, or EWDD, funds 10 business source centers across LA City. Business source centers offer free business consulting and technical assistance to help startups and operating businesses with permitting, access to capital, and marketing, among others. Services are provided at no cost to LA City business owners and resident entrepreneurs. Get more information at the link on your screen. The information contained in this video should not be construed as legal advice or a legal opinion on any specific facts or circumstances and is not a complete overview or analysis of the topics presented. Further, the information should not be relied on or treated as a substitute for specific advice relevant to particular circumstances, and the content herein is subject to revision, interpretation, or even nullification based on such circumstances. Legal counsel makes no representation, statement, or warranty, whether express or implied, to you or to any other person who has access to this video as a consequence of our release of this video to you as to the fairness, accuracy, or completeness of the information, opinions, and statements that are contained in this video. The contents are intended for general informational purposes only, and you are urged to consult your attorney concerning any particular situation and any specific legal question you may have. Legal counsel owes no duty and assumes no liability or responsibility to you or to any other person who has access to this video as a consequence of our release of this presentation to you, whether in contract, tort, including without limitation for negligence, or otherwise in respect of any information, opinion, or statement contained in this video. Legal counsel shall not be liable to you for any losses, damages, costs, or expenses whatsoever that may arise, whether directly or indirectly, from any use of or reliance on this video or otherwise in connection with it. Thank you.
My name is Daniel Hinckley, and I am a healthcare and life sciences attorney at Ropes & Gray. Our firm is BETCEDIC's pro bono partner.
My name is Miriam Hagigi, and I'm a corporate associate at Ropes & Gray. We'll be discussing best practices for small businesses and home-based businesses in the face of natural disasters. This is important because according to FEMA, 40% of business owners can't reopen after they face a natural disaster.
There are several types of insurance that small businesses should consider in order to be prepared for emergencies. One type is property insurance, which covers physical assets like buildings, equipment, and inventory.
For example, if a fire damages your office building or store, property insurance can help cover the cost of repairs or replacing anything that was damaged inside.
Another type of insurance is business interruption insurance, which compensates for lost income and expenses if the business can't operate due to a disaster, such as a wildfire or a flood.
For example, if a fire forces your restaurant or grocery store to close for a month, business interruption insurance can help cover the lost revenue during that period.
Another type of insurance to consider is general liability insurance, which will help protect you against claims of bodily injury or property damage.
So if a customer slips and falls on your premises during a storm, general liability insurance can cover the medical expenses and any legal fees if the customer sues.
Workers' compensation insurance helps provide medical benefits and wage replacement to employees who are injured on the job.
So if an employee is injured while securing the premises during a natural disaster, workers' compensation insurance can cover their medical bills and lost wages. Coverage for natural disasters, waiting period, extended period of indemnity, contingent business interruption, and extra expense coverage.
Small business owners should examine their coverage for natural disasters, ensuring that the policy includes things like fire, hurricanes, earthquakes, and floods.
The waiting period in business interruption insurance is typically 48 to 72 hours. A policy with a 48-hour waiting period would mean that coverage would start 2 days after the disaster occurred.
It's important to note extended periods of indemnity. Indemnity periods typically only last 30 days, but if repairs take 6 months, an extended period of indemnity can help provide coverage for additional months to help businesses recover while they help build back their business.
Contingent business interruption covers losses from damage to a supplier's or customer's property. If a corner store is damaged by a fire, contingent business interruption insurance can cover the resulting loss of income.
A safety blanket for small business owners is extra expense coverage, which helps cover additional costs to continue operations after a disaster. If you need to rent temporary office space after a fire, extra expenses can help pay for those rental costs.
It covers bodily injury and property damage, and occurrence versus claim-made policies.
Bodily injury and property damage helps protect against claims resulting from business operations. If debris from your business injures a passerby during a storm or a fire, general liability can help cover the medical expenses and legal fees.
Occurrence versus claims-made policies differ in what they cover. Occurrence policies cover incidents during the policy period regardless of when claims are made, while claims-made policies cover claims made during the policy period. For example, an occurrence policy will cover a claim for an injury that happened during the policy period, even if the claim is filed after the policy has ended.
Some key terms to understand are all risk versus a named peril. An all risk will cover a wide range of perils unless specifically excluded, while a named peril will only cover listed perils. An all risk policy might cover damage from a rare event like lightning damage or an act of God, while a named perils policy would only cover events specifically listed, such as fire or theft.
Replacement cost versus actual cash value. Replacement cost covers the cost to replace damaged property without depreciation, while actual cash value will cover the cost minus depreciation. If your office equipment is destroyed in a fire, replacement cost coverage will pay for new equipment, while actual cash value would pay the depreciated value of the old equipment.
Other language to consider includes exclusions and endorsements. Exclusions are perils that aren't covered, and endorsements add coverage for specific risks. Flood damage or certain types of fire damage might be excluded from a standard policy, but they can be added through an endorsement.
Small businesses should implement cloud storage solutions for improved data security and accessibility. Small businesses should use services like Google Drive or Dropbox to store important business documents and data.
Other best practices include regular data backups. This means scheduling or automating regular backups of all critical business data.
Cybersecurity measures. Small business owners should use complex passwords, enable two-factor authentication, and keep software up to date. Business owners should regularly update antivirus software and use strong and unique passwords for all business accounts.
Force majeure clauses excuse or delay lease obligations due to unforeseen circumstances beyond the parties' control. A force majeure clause might excuse a tenant from paying rent if a natural disaster makes the property uninhabitable.
Triggering events. Force majeure clauses should include a comprehensive list of events like natural disasters such as wildfires, earthquakes, floods, and pandemics. They can also include war or government action.
It's important to understand the notice requirements as well. This means establishing timing, the method, and content required to give proper notice. The clause might require you to give written notice within 10 days of the event, detailing the nature and impact of the disaster.
Duration and obligations. Force majeure clauses should define the duration of the clause and any obligations to mitigate damage. For example, the clause might specify that obligations are suspended for up to 6 months and require parties to take reasonable steps to minimize damage. There's cost sharing, so parties may agree to share costs related to disaster recovery. For example, in a commercial lease, both a landlord and a tenant could agree to share the cost of repairing a building damaged by a hurricane.
The contract should also clearly define who is responsible for damages caused by the natural disaster. The tenant might be responsible for interior repairs, while a landlord will generally handle structural repairs and repairs to common areas.
Mitigation efforts. The contract should specify which actions are required by each party to be taken to prevent or minimize damage. For example, the contract might require that the tenant install storm shutters and the landlord maintain the roof.
The FMLA applies to employers with at least 50 employees within a 75-mile radius. Employees must have worked for at least 12 months and 1,250 hours. For example, an employee at a company with 60 employees who has worked for 13 months and 1,300 hours is eligible for FMLA leave. The CFRA applies to employers with 5 or more employees with similar employee requirements as FMLA.
Inpatient care would qualify, which includes an overnight stay in a hospital, hospice, or residential medical care facility. For example, if an employee was hospitalized for surgery, this would qualify under the condition. Also qualifying is continuing treatment. This includes incapacity for more than 3 consecutive days, 2 or more occasions of treatment within 30 days, or a continuing regimen of treatment. An example of this would be an employee with a chronic illness who requires regular doctor visits and medication.
The FMLA has a more restrictive definition, which includes parent, son, daughter, or spouse. An employer can take leave to care for that sick child or spouse under FMLA requirements. Under the CFRA, there's a more expansive definition. This includes child, parent, grandparent, grandchild, sibling, spouse, domestic partner, or designated person. Under the FMLA, it would include a parent, son, daughter, or spouse. So if an employee under the FMLA wanted to take leave to care for their sick child or spouse, they could. The CFRA has a much more expansive definition. This includes child, parent, grandparent, grandchild, sibling, spouse, domestic partner, or designated person. So if an employee wanted to take leave to care for their sick grandparent or domestic partner, they could under the CFRA.
Yes, employers must continue paying for an employee's group health benefits while they are on CFRA or FMLA leave, provided that the employer normally would pay for these benefits. So if an employer typically would cover 80% of health insurance premiums, they must continue doing so during the employee's leave.
Best practices include keeping regular and multiple backups. It's important to maintain 3 copies of your business data, 2 on different storage media, and 1 off-site. Other best practices include cybersecurity measures. This includes using complex passwords, enabling 2-factor authentication, and keeping your software up to date.
Force majeure clauses. These will excuse or delay obligations due to unforeseen events. For example, a clause that excuses rent payments if a flood makes the property uninhabitable. Allocation of risk clauses. These will define how risks are shared between parties.
Dispute resolution clauses will specify the governing law jurisdiction and mechanisms like mediation or arbitration. This can include a clause that requires mediation before any legal action can be taken.
Repairs and maintenance terms. These will clarify responsibilities for repairs and maintenance. For example, it might detail that the tenant must maintain the interior while the landlord is responsible for the exterior. First, they could consult legal advisors. This will ensure that they're in compliance with zoning laws, permitting requirements, and licenses. You could hire a local attorney to review your business setup and ensure that you're meeting all of the legal requirements.
It's also important to stay informed. Utilize local government websites, business development centers, and pro bono legal professionals. You can regularly check your city's website for updates on zoning laws and business permits. BetCedic's Small Business Development Program offers webinars, small business academies, and direct client representation.
More specifically, there's also the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, which provides a national preparedness standard for developing a disaster preparedness plan.
Another resource is the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, or IBHS. They offer resources for business continuity planning, including OFB-EZ toolkits.
Ultimately, as a small business owner, if you're proactive, you can mitigate damage when disaster strikes. For more information, you can contact BetCedic's Small Business Development Project by calling 866-375-9511.
Thanks for watching. We hope you found this helpful.